Dad one day came in and he was telling me that him and my mom were fighting. So I was like, fighting? Mommy and me are fighting because, she won't let me see. And I was wondering, like, what does he mean, let her see? And then he said, see, down there. And I was like, down where? I was like, oh, in my head, I was like, oh, well, if mommy lets him see, then it's okay for me to let him see. So basically, I was like, okay. So then I was like, I'll show you. So I offered without knowing, that obviously it was not okay. So I let him see, and I don't remember if I was actually touching me at some point. I just remember him looking, and I remember his finger like going that direction. And not that long after that was happening, I heard my mom saying, husband, what are you doing? Where are you? He's like, oh, I'll be right there. I'm just saying goodnight to the kids. So he says goodnight to us, and then he goes, and that is the official beginning of just that consistently happening up until I was 15 or 16 years old.
She's brave to be speaking about something like this, and the father isn't supposed to do this to his child. Fathers are supposed to protect their daughters, not do stuff like that.
There were so many instances that I remember trying to hint at my mom that I was uncomfortable. And a lot of the times, I don't think that she not necessarily didn't understand, but that she was just like, oh, she was just feeling uncomfortable like this because of this, or just whatever reason that she thought it was uncomfortable. So another memory that I have was when we went to a water park. So I believe I was 13 years old at this time. We went to a water park. And prior to that, before we were leaving, my dad, he was excessively spanking and it's normalized in a lot of Latino households from my understanding, and it wasn't comfortable for me because I knew what his intention was behind that. So I tried to tell my mom, Mom, he keeps spanking me. I'm a little older now. Can we stop? She's like, mija, it's not that serious. It's just a little spank. Just kind of being dismissive, which again led me to not telling her more and more. And then we had my sister, and I was afraid that my sister was gonna go through the same experience that I went through. And I literally told myself I would die before that would happen. So I remember at night, it's always at night that he would come in, and my sister, she started sleeping with me. And my brain was like, okay, there's two choices. Either I try to talk to my mom again, which in my brain at the time, I was like, that's not gonna happen. Or I just put myself before my sister, so he doesn't get to my sister, he only has access to me. So what I would do is I would put my sister all the way to the wall, and then I would be turning on the outside of her, so that he only has access to me and not to her. And he would just come and pretty much touch me at night. And I would just do my best just to hold her. And just times again, my mom would be like, Victor, what are you doing? Oh, I'm saying goodnight to the kids. So he'll finish what he's doing, and then he'll just go and leave. And it was just like that for many years. And my dad wasn't the only person that it happened with. I have a very weird memory of my cousin.
You see, so even her cousin was doing stuff to her. She been through a lot.
Attempting to do the same thing. So with my cousin, I believe I was about 8 years old, and him and his mom, my other cousin, we were all they were all visiting, and we were all hanging out together. And I believe it was my room, and I had this beautiful Barbie house. It was a really big Barbie house. And so, I was playing behind the Barbie house, having the time of my life. My brother was on the bed, and my cousin, he just started acting a little strange. And then he started showing me provocative dances. This is from what I was told from my family, that he was showing me provocative dances. But what I remember was that I started feeling uncomfortable, and I went and hid under the cupboard, thinking that he wasn't going to come get me. And then he followed me, obviously, to the bed. And I remember seeing him pull something out, down there. And I was scared. I was like, what do I do? So I kind of just froze. And then I don't remember what happened, that I ended up being able to run off and go to my mom and just be there with my mom. And she was confused. She was like, what's wrong? Why are you acting this way? And it wasn't until after they left that I guess that I was telling my mom that I was showing her provocative dances, but I never told her about me seeing what he had, the male genital. And growing up, we never had a talk about intimacy and stuff like that. So when these things were happening to me, I didn't know what were the intentions again behind it. I just knew that, okay, my dad does this all the time. It's nothing new. I've had these experiences with these guys before. It's normal. So growing up, when I tried to have like boyfriends and stuff like that, I really didn't know how to act, I guess you could say. I came off, from what I've been told, I came off oftentimes as flirtatious, because that's just what I thought I was supposed to do. So I remember one night my dad came in again. I'm like, oh my God, this has to stop. I can't do this anymore. Like, I was going crazy. So that following night, my mom, she wanted us to go to the 99-cent store. I remember there was this plaza and the 99-cent store was there and all these other stores, and we were going to go get a drink from Bahama Bucks after that. So she goes inside and I'm like hyperventilating, freaking out. Like, my chest is like, can't breathe, like, because I'm about to tell her. I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to tell her. Like, I need to tell her. I can't keep living like this until I leave here. I can't. So then my mom comes back inside and I tell her, like, my dad is touching me. And she's like, what did you say? I'm like, yeah, my dad is touching me. He's touching me. And she's like, are you serious? And I told her, I was like, yeah, he comes in at night and he touches me, and I try to like just talk, but I just start like having a full breakdown trying to tell her this, because it's something that I've been holding on to for a long time.
Now the thing about, with them telling their mothers, most of the time the mother is not going to believe what her daughter says, because she don't want to destroy that relationship she has with her boyfriend or husband.
And she's like, why didn't you tell me before? And I was like, Mom, I couldn't. I couldn't. I was scared. She's like, what were you scared of? I always tell you can talk to me. You're supposed to come and talk to me. Like that. She would interact with me. I'm like, Mom, I was scared, but I'm telling you that he's touching me. So she's like, okay. And we both start crying in the car. We're there for a few minutes and then we go back home. And when we get back home, obviously she confronts my dad and stuff like that. And I'm just like freaking out and, trying to get my brain together, because I'm so like, it's something that I've been so conflicted about telling her about for years, that I was just afraid and I was scared that I was going to rip my family apart, because I didn't want my sister growing up like that. I was afraid more so for my sister. So then that following day, he wasn't there. And I was like, well, what happened? She's like, we kicked him out. He's going to be living separately from us, and that's how it's going to be. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, this is nice. Like, I don't have to worry about not being able to sleep at night. I don't have to worry about something happening to my sister. For a while, I don't remember how long he was gone. I know it wasn't for very long. I think it was maybe like 2-3 months at most that he was gone. And she comes and tells me, she's like, Natalie, I have to ask you something. And I'm already scared. In my head, I'm like, okay, what is she gonna ask me? Like, what does she want? So I'm like, okay, Mom, what's up? Because I was always that daughter that was like, yes, Mom, no, Mom. Yes. They always looked at me as like that, I guess, the golden child, like when it comes to like listening to them and doing what they wanted from me, which is, I feel like, a lot of the reason why my dad got away with what he did. So she's like, we can't afford to live in 2 separate places. So we either have him come back and live with us in this beautiful house, or we have to be in poverty and go live in a really small apartment with 1 bedroom, just you, your brother, and your sister, and me. So in my head, I'm thinking, I want my sister to have a good life. I want her to not live like how my brother and me lived when my parents were first starting, like having to share a little bathroom together. And, I didn't want that for my sister. I wanted her to actually have like a beautiful house where she can run wherever she wanted to. She can just have good memories in the house, because I feel like that's something really important growing up, having good memories in a beautiful home, which I didn't get to have, but that's something that I wanted for my sister. So obviously I went with in my head, the logical choice, like, you know what, yeah, just have him come back and we'll just, I guess, figure something out. So, my dad comes back and it's super unsettling, like in the house. Like the house is super uncomfortable. Obviously my mom has like a super eyeball on him, like he's really like not really allowed to go to our rooms. Like I can have my door closed now, which is nice. The bathrooms, they have to be locked. At that time, everything was like lock and key, with my dad. And my brother, I don't know if at any point he was like curious or was like trying to see like, what's going on here, But as far as I know, to this day, he does not know. And neither does my sister. So one day, it's my dad and me that has to go pick up my sister because my mom, she starts working. So obviously it's like really uncomfortable. And he just starts asking me stuff, and I don't remember the full extent of the details of which he asked, but I just